Bam! And welcome to the Dropkick Report. My name is Murray with my co-host Corey, and today we are very honoured to have our first special guest. Please welcome Fight Factory's own Dutch.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Corey, it's been a while since we've had a guest in.
About a year.
About a year, yeah, but we're very happy to have you. Because for people who might not be too familiar with what you do, if you just give us a rundown of what your kind of deal is with the business. How do you sort of where did Fight Factory come from, and how did you get started with it?
Okay, so it's a long story.
Okay, ready?
So I'm one of the wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the coach, and on paper the owner, but I don't do anything to do with the business really.
Right.
My wife runs the business as well as being a full-time nurse.
Yeah.
And between her and my brother and other people, they do all the creative side of the business. So I am literally just one of the wrestlers and the coach for the training gym we have. But it all started, I was wrestling for a promoter in Lincoln. I was wrestling independently, which I still do. But my mum had never seen me perform. So it was through illness. So she was fighting cancer, and to come to a show, as you can imagine, it's quite an intimate event. So if she's close to people who are sick and she's got a low immune system, then it's not great for her. So we decided we'd run our own one-shot show called Body Slams to Cancer.
Yeah.
And the idea was, if we could get a sports hall where you can potentially fit 500 people in, aim for 100, 150 or whatever, just raise a couple of £100, and then my mum can sit kind of at the back, so she's not at risk, or as much at risk.
Yeah.
And then she can be there live and watch us perform. So we started doing the planning for it in 2013, and we were already opened the training school with the promoter who was running Lincoln. So this was going to be our deal, and my mum passed away. So like that night, we turned up at the hospital, and we just kind of said, right, okay, let's make this mean something. A bit more than what it was going to. So we decided to really advertise it and go to town on it. And that show's now been running for 10 years. So throughout the year, we do run other shows. We run Lincoln, we run Gainsborough, we have run other little towns outside of the area. But everything builds up to Body Slams to Cancer. So that's the basis of the company. And keeping with that sort of charity side of what we do, we have a personal training gym, we have the wrestling gym, and we try and help out where we can within the community. So our gym, we specialise personal training, for example, in people with anxiety. So if they don't want to go to a commercial gym, they can come to us. So everything sort of started with just the one show, and it's kind of created a life of its own from there, really.
Wow. Corey?
I mean, because I knew Body Slams to Cancer was a thing. I did not realise that's actually where it started. And you've been doing it for a while, and I've been around Lincoln for a while, and that's kind of the one thing I think I know Fight Factory for. Yeah, is that kind of event. And again, like you say, that's kind of the one thing. And also the one thing about it is, I'm in the Facebook, I guess, community page for it, and that's always where there's a lot of either communication or talk or a lot of excitement and that sort of thing where it comes from. There's one guy, I don't know if he did it this year or not, I think last year or the year before, I think walked the whole of the UK or something, from Scotland or down, or from the top of England or down, something along those lines.
Oh, we had a couple of years ago Kai Valentine do a big walk.
Definitely.
He was one of the hosts here.
Yes.
So yeah, he's helped us raise money before. He's turned up at the show and done some exclusive interviews backstage and stuff. Yeah, we do try and get the community involved.
Yeah, of course.
Admittedly, it started with our family, but everybody's got a story when it comes to cancer. So we want it to be everybody's event. It's not our event, it's everybody's event.
Of course, yeah. And that just speaks to how expansive professional wrestling is, really. Yeah. It just speaks to the message and speaks to the whole entire just circumference of it. But speaking of professional wrestling, where did you get your start in that?
So
did it come with Fight Factory, or did it?
No. It started when I was like, I want to say 17. I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I found somewhere in Nottingham that was training, not the place that's running now, House of Pain. It was somebody else running it. Did a few sessions there, met a few other promoters, did a few little bits, but I wasn't ready to take it serious. I had other stuff going on in life. So it really started to become serious in, I want to say, 2011. I refound my love for wrestling and wanting to do something. So I'd had my broken back at this time. And it was kind of something I was allowed to go to the gym, but I needed something else. So I found a place in Grimsby that's no longer running anymore. Went there and wanted to go at it as if I've never done anything before. But the first show we were kind of booked to do something there, and then it continued to grow a little bit, and then from there was a bit of a fallout with the promoter at the time, so I kind of just in my head settled with the promoter who was running Lincoln at the time. But then again that kind of took off. I started getting bookings quite a few places. I've travelled around doing it since then, really. Since COVID, really, it's calmed down a bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of been nice to have time with the kids as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And that just, again, I always find that you same with everyone with professional wrestling always has a different way kind of into it and what they love about it and their passions about it. What do you find in that sort of sport, in that art form, that really connects with you?
It's a great way to vent.
Okay.
So
how so?
Well, we all have frustrations.
Yeah.
And, you can get rid of them frustrations in any way. I think when I was younger, it could have ended up in me going to jail, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And it gave me a focus for rehab. It gave me a reason to want to get my back better.
Yeah.
And then when you're out there performing, there's no feeling like it. There's no drug like it. It's an addictive feeling to go out there and perform. And then from there, it's also, for me now, more often I feel that I work with the newer guys more often than not, with the trainees. And there's so much pride in watching them go out there and perform. And I think now for me, the main thing is watching them achieve their things. My daughter, for example, she's moved over to Liverpool. She's now performing up and down the country. Some of the trainees who have gone on to bigger places than us, some of them who have just wanted to wrestle for us, them goals that they hit is the thing I kind of live through them now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah,
sort of vicariously through their joy and experience.
Watching for example, when they walk in the door for the first time, we have a lot of people turn up who are shy, who have anxiety, who've maybe been bullied.
Yeah. And
watching them grow in confidence, or watching them, achieve something. I can't jump that high. I can't stand on the top rope, and them I can'ts that we all have.
Yeah.
Watching them overcome them to become I cans is incredible.
Amazing.
Sometimes frustrating, but sometimes also, more often than not, incredible watching them break them barriers. As
a coach as well, and that's from that side of it, not just as a talent, but as a coach, and be able to teach. Do you find that as a coach you have a different outlook? Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. I think it kind of all merges to one eventually.
Yeah.
You can be at other shows where there's someone new and you've not trained them, but watching them do something or watching them grow. There's a kid who I've been watching over in Nottingham, Joey Cement, and he started as this young shy kid, and now we've had him on one of our shows, and he's incredible. And I didn't train him; I had nothing to do with it, but I'm still proud of the kid. It's incredible to watch his journey. So, be it as a talent or as a coach, I think. Our group specifically, I think they all have that similar mentality that they all want to help, and when someone does something and gets better, they're all proud of them. So I think it's a mentality that's within our gym, and a lot of other places have that as well, I think.
Wow.
One of the things I love about, I guess, kind of just UK indie in general is obviously indie wrestling comes with most of the time smaller venues, it's a smaller crowd, therefore normally the crowd is a bit more either lively or loud.
Or put into it, yeah.
Yeah.
And if someone shouts something in the back, everyone's pretty much going to hear it.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a double question. First off, what's it like compared to just having a smaller kind of more energetic crowd, but maybe we're going to shout a bit more at the wrestlers to get a bit more into it.
Yeah.
If it's a bad guy, if it's a good guy, cheer it on. But also, what's it like having the fans involved? Because we watched, I think it was 2016
or 17, yeah.
It was a match with you and your brother KD.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there was one of his, I think, one of the bandmates who did his music video.
Yeah.
Gave a chop
Do you
to
remember?
you, and then gave a chop to him.
Well, you ducked the chop.
Yeah.
He ended up chopping one of the bandmates. He had to go down and sell it.
So
and
what's
that
it
was-
also like having fans literally get involved, even just for like...
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I remember about that one specifically is the commentary on it.
Oh, yeah.
They're saying about my brother had discharged himself from hospital in Mexico. That was actually true. So he was really poorly. So that match, had to be done a certain way to protect him because he was sick. The fan interaction is kind of what we do it for.
Yeah, of course.
Without the fans, we wouldn't be doing it, or we'd be crazy to be doing a lot of it. So we've got some great fans. No matter what company I've worked for, I feel the majority of the time I've been able to get a good connection with the crowd, no matter what my alignment, if I'm liking the fans or disliking the fans. So I take great pride in being able to draw emotion out of the crowd. One example, I was working as a villain in Derby, and there was... political correctness needs to kick in here.
Okay.
A shorter person.
Right, okay.
And being able to get him to want to punch me.
Right.
Because he was the loudest member of the audience.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my attention straight to him.
Yeah, of course.
And being able to get that emotion out of him so he could come to the front barricade, so every time I was close to him to swing a punch, that was a great feeling, because afterwards he came and apologised and said, look, I'm really sorry about that, I wouldn't normally do it. And that means I've done my job right, but also I've kept him entertained. And again, I try and tell the guys from the school that not only is it for the audience who are paying in to keep these shows going, but they don't know who's in the audience. So again, we do a lot of stuff that I don't really want to use for attention, and that Becca doesn't want to use for attention, or my brother, or whoever's put it forward to us as well. We do stuff where there's been kids who have maybe been taken away from the house. Or we know of kids who have had sick parents, or their parents are dying, and all sorts of awful stuff. They're in the audience, and as a performer, you're taking them away from that real life for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever the show time is. So not only is it a great feeling to get that emotion from the audience, but you don't know how you could have just put a smile on that person's face, which is more valuable than anything else.
Yeah, of course.
So, it's a great feeling to have them, where you've got a couple of hundred, or, smaller venues. We've ran one show where there's been 37 people, I think it was our smallest audience. And then I've wrestled for companies where there was one in Leeds where I think there was only 6 members of the audience. They're paying the same ticket price.
Still got to put it on,
So no matter if there's a couple of thousand or 6, they've paid individually the same price. So you need to give them the same value for entertainment.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously I would tone down the risk factor. But you still have to give them that entertainment, what they've paid for, what they expect from the individual performers if they've knowing of you, So I think it's great to have them audiences where you can see the eyeballs of everybody. When someone shouts something, if you can react to that, in the back of the room, then it's a great feeling, because that kind of spreads the enthusiasm with the rest of the audience.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I noticed as well when we watched that match between your brother, there's a moment where he doesn't come out for the first, do you remember? He doesn't come out for the first 10 count, and they have to count him. And every time, and you're kind of sat back, and then there's a minute where the count starts to increase, where you kind of fire up, and you kind of like, come on, then you go to the front of the rope, and you're like, come on out then. Kind of like you're egging him on, because the count's going closer and closer to that one. And there was a moment where I thought, I wonder if his brother isn't going to actually come out. There's another way they could do this, because they get the thoughts in your head, of course. And it was from watching you and your reactions that it sort of tempered the feeling of the whole thing, if you get what I mean.
Oh, I'm glad it translated.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think, again, it's the small things that make the big reactions. So, I'm going to sound really old saying
That's
this.
fine.
I feel it, but when the newer guys come into the gym, you can spot the newer guys on the shows, or not even the newer guys, the younger guys. They want to concentrate on what moves they're going to do.
Yeah.
And obviously, some moves will get a reaction from your audience, but you add emotion to said moves, then the moves mean more. You know, and my brother is quite an example of this. He is very good at flying around the building.
Yes.
You know, he's had matches with some great wrestlers. There was one with Sticks where he was being picked up for a power bomb. He hooked himself onto a basketball net that's in the building.
Yeah.
And I think he flipped off it or something. I can't remember
wow.
exactly what, which gets a reaction.
Yeah.
When he first wanted to take wrestling serious, my dad asked, you know, look after him.
Yeah.
So can you try and tag team with him? Just calm him down, because the first thing he did on a show when he wanted to come in properly was jump off the top of the cage and land on someone, you know, and we'd not done a lot of work on doing these sort of moves. He just did it. So, and had massive trust in the guy who he was landing on. So to try and teach something so simple as using emotion, we were an over 18 show, and them audiences can be a bit more brutal.
Yeah, of course.
And it was a match where anything goes. I believe the match is on YouTube. It was a hardcore tornado tag match,
Right.
in a nightclub.
Right. That's you and your brother,
my brother
against.
Laurie and Valentine.
Oh, okay. They're tough competitors.
Yeah. So Kieran went to the top of the DJ booth, which is quite a high place to be, and did a backflip and got the holy you know what chant.
Yeah.
And I said, well, watch this, I'll get the same chant for something simple.
Okay, go on.
So in the match, I pulled out a spanner.
Right.
Nice.
Put it round their fingers. Click the fingers back with the spanner. Similar reaction. Got an elastic warm-up band. Pinged it in the face. Same reaction.
Yeah.
So less risk, same reward.
Cool.
You know, and you're investing in it, because do you guys know what it feels like for having someone backflip onto you? You can only imagine, right?
Yeah.
But you can imagine what having your finger broken
Yeah,
feels like,
yeah.
or you can imagine, you know, we've all played with a rubber band and it's backfired in your face. So these are the things that I think, you know, if we do things that the average person can understand, then everything else means a little bit more.
Wow,
because they can use their imagination a bit more then.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to think about it, actually.
Yeah.
And that speaks to not only your work, but also quite the wider wrestling world as well.
Yeah.
It's quite...
What's it like? Because obviously I've watched wrestling before, and I think with people who have watched wrestling, you always kind of think, oh, it'd be fun to do it, but you never do. And it's even because I have a brother, and we both watch wrestling, and we both thought, oh, it'd be fun. What's it like actually being in a ring with your brother and having to have a match, not only together, but also go, right, now we're going to face each other.
Be against each other as well.
And are we going behind the curtains with this?
You can
if you want.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's a great feeling.
Oh wait, but first, before you go on, in that match in 2017, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I will now.
Oh yes.
There was a slight controversy when the ref got taken down. Right.
You were
Let's call
lying
him
on
compromised.
Yeah.
And then a figure who I'm going to refer to as Jeff the ref entered the scene. Do you believe that he was in the pocket of your brother and that he screwed you out?
Jeff the ref has been one of the most over talents in Fight Factory history. We don't even know how this became a thing.
Okay. Now do I.
He is a great human.
I'm taken with him. He's over for me.
There's some really old footage on YouTube somewhere, and there was two of what I'd say at the time, and even now one of them is still up there in my opinion as one of the best, but two great British talents wrestling on one of the shows in Market Raisin.
Right.
And they were going out there as the main event, and the chants were for Jeff the ref. We approach at Body Slams. We treat it like WrestleMania, but we treat it like the Royal Rumble as well. We want little throwbacks for the audience who have been with us for a while.
Surprises,
and Jeff the ref coming out got a little.
I noticed.
It was a great thing for the audience, but also for some of the guys in the back. You know, it was good to see him again. So he was definitely in my brother's pocket.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought so. Jeff, I don't know what he's on with, to be honest.
It's a good job my wife was out there to control everything.
Exactly. Yeah. But on to the brother question. How is it like working with him as a familial bond?
I think because we've grown up together, it was quite easy to sort of read body language, and it's always good to go out there with someone you just have chemistry with. So again, a little bit behind the curtains, we know it's predetermined.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no point in me trying to lie about that anymore. But the risks are real, and the people you're going in there with can make it a little more real than what the audience sometimes want to believe. So I'm a believer in make it as real as you can, but keep your opponent safe. My brother has that same kind of approach, as well as doing his flip, flop, and fly.
Yes.
I have an awful memory. Some people like to plan every single move. I just cannot do that. I cannot do it. So my brother understands that. And the older I've got, the more space I need away from the rest of the talent as well. I need to sit back and have my own headspace. So again, we had to plan certain things because of how poorly he was in that match. To the point where Becca did not want him wrestling, but when it's Body Slams to Cancer, it's again, I say it's everybody's show, but to our family, it's for my mum. For our mum. So he was not having the "you're not working tonight." He was not listening to that. I even said, "Look, I'll sacrifice. I'll sit back. I'll go on commentary. I'll do something else. As much as I want to perform." So it was. Okay, let's plan this so you can still do some of your stuff and get what the audience expect from you, but keep you safe. So we did the match. It was good, I think.
It was good.
We got emotion. We'd managed to tell the story for a while going into it, and then we had to. I think was it 2018 that match? I think actually
somewhere near there.
I think it was 2018 because. We had a follow-up match.
And he won that match, by the way, I think.
He did?
Yes, he did.
No. Jeff the ref
won that match.
Jeff the ref isn't sanctioned. He was fired.
Oh, okay. Oh, dear.
So that wasn't true.
Controversy.
But he did win the next match. So actually it was 2019 because we held the next match at... the assembly rooms up on the Bale before COVID hit, which was 2020.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we did a superheroes rule match, so 2 out of 3 falls, and we got to do a little bit of everything there. And I think when you're in there with a relative or a friend, someone you trust, you go in there with that bit more intent and you hit a little bit harder and everything's a bit snugger and you deal with the pain 2 days later. So it was a great feeling to go out there with my brother in both situations as a tag team or against each other. And it looks like that's building up again, that he's now become the one who disobeys the rules a little bit more.
Oh, really?
So... yeah, we could see something interesting going forward there as well.
Oh, wow. And speaking of going forward, obviously you have Steel Cage Showdown, that's right, on February 4th. What are you expecting for that?
Oh, that cage. It's not one of them chicken wire cages. It's not flimsy. It's got very, very little give in it.
Right.
It's heavy. It hurts. So... I've got the feeling I'm going to need a week off afterwards.
Oh, dear.
There's some great matches been announced so far, and I think there's a couple more yet to be announced. The cage is, I think, the main attraction for this one.
Of course.
We've wanted to put the cage up in Lincoln for a while, but it's just not been an option at some of the venues. And now we've gone back to Yarborough. It's a big venue where we can bring the cage back.
Have you been there before?
Yeah, the first few years of running were
yeah.
up at Yarborough, and then we went to Birchwood, before that became a soft play area. And then we went to
Can't do your moonsaults off that.
Sorry?
Can't do your moonsaults off of that.
I mean, you could.
You could. You'd land softly.
It'd definitely be a nicer landing.
Yeah, you land softly, yeah.
And there's a climbing wall, which again, my brother and me
yeah,
loving
up
that. But yeah, we've been to a few venues around the city, and we tend to get different audiences as well as different venues, so it's really weird.
How tall's the cage?
15 foot.
Is that including the ring, or is that literally 15 foot above the ring?
It's actually on the floor.
Oh, okay.
So it goes around the ring.
Yeah.
So there is a clip on my Instagram where I press slammed a lady into the cage, and she fell between the cage and the ring. So there was also risks there. I've fallen off the top of that myself. Actually did it at a venue close to here, and my hip popped out as I fell from the top of it.
Oh,
so
lovely.
There's it's not a it's not an easy stunt show that people think it is.
Yeah, and that speaks to, again, the variety of professional wrestling. We're covering it a lot now. Of the sort of, you deal with that hardcore style, you deal with the steel cages and all the weapons matches and whatnot. But there's also the sort of match that we speak about with you and your brother, where it's more personal and it's more, you hit hard and you. And you lay it all in, those kind of things, where it's all done on the mat with the technical style. How do you feel in sort of the working with those differences?
I like to think that I'm adaptable personally.
Okay.
So to perform, my favourite style of wrestling is actually comedy wrestling.
Oh, really? How would you work that? Honestly, I love a bit of comedy wrestling myself.
It's the same. It's finding that emotion with the audience, finding something that reacts and resonates with them. So again, like, you have to give and take. So we give you something funny, and then we give you something a little more hard-hitting straight afterwards. It makes that hard-hitting moment seem more aggressive because you've just been laughing. All of a sudden, we've turned your emotion. So I like that, again, that ability to be able to play with people's emotion. But again, I like a
great theme.
I like a hardcore match. I've been in plenty of them. We have the Anarchy title, which is a different style of match.
Yes. Who's holding that at the minute?
At the minute, it's Jack Maxwell.
Okay.
And I think they're in a 4 or 5 man 10-minute scramble match for that, so that's going to be very interesting. All the weapons with 4 or 5 of them inside a cage for 10 minutes.
Nice. Wow.
Jack Bennett is the guy who really wants it. He's just flown back from Japan yesterday, I believe.
Wow.
And he was doing some death matches out there in Japan.
Oh, sweet, they're all about it. Yeah.
So he's a contender. Maxwell is crazy. So again, he could retain, but again, champion's advantage isn't there. So that's going to be an interesting one, and a little bit of me kind of wants to peek my head into that match as well. But I'm already in my match. So I don't know if this old body can handle 2 in a night anymore. But yeah, again, like I really enjoy technical wrestling as well. So if I can get away with, doing a technical match, then I'm quite happy to do that as well. I think. For me, I'll always ask the promoter what they want from me, and check the opponent out and see what they can do, and try and adapt to their styles.
And how would you say working with a promoter sort of changes your experience of your time when you're with a company, not just with Five Factory, but when you're working around with different promoters? How do you feel? Obviously, you might know some better than others, right?
Yeah, you get some who you can become friends with.
Yeah.
But I think, friends or not, I'm there to do a job. So I'll do the best of what they want from me. Some promoters will give you detail.
Yes.
Like minute detail of what they want from the match. And some will say, look, I trust you to do your thing. And when it's that sort of trust, it's an honour.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I put more pressure on myself because I then need to look around at what everybody else is doing to make sure I'm not copying other people.
Yeah.
Or they're not copying me if I'm on before them, or unintentionally. So I try and look around and give myself and speak with the person I'm with, like, what are we going to do that's different to everybody else? If you've got 6-8 matches on a card, you need to not steal the show. I think that's quite a bad attitude to have, if I'm honest. But you still need to stand out. You still need to show your value, why the promoter's paying you the wage you ask for. So, yeah, I think you have to kind of put friendships aside when it comes to the promoter and do your job for the promoter. See them as your boss for that couple of hours you're with them.
Yeah, of course. And how do you see that? Obviously, when you try and make those match of the night moments, what do you think goes in? I think if it's a big move, a big crowd reaction, how would you almost lead into that, getting that like big crowd reaction for the big move, if it's the finish, if it's not, how would that?
The biggest moment should always be the finish.
Yeah, I feel like the same. Yeah,
because that's your exclamation point at the end of the sentence. But I believe throughout the match you need to build to moments, and it's not necessarily moves. It's just engage in that reaction and keep listening to your audience, because if they're silent, doesn't mean they're not paying attention, doesn't mean they're not invested. But on the same note, if they're silent and they're on their phones, you've got to do something else. You've got to get their attention. So I like to kind of think, what moments are we building to, and how are we going to keep them invested to see the next moment. So there's a lot of people who'll do a hardcore match because it's, I hate the term easier, but they see it as easier because you can
how
get
so? How do they see it?
You pull out a chair and hit someone with it, and
big.
you go,
Okay.
And that's an easy reaction to get. As bad as that maybe sounds, but if you can build to that and take it away from the audience and then give them it when you feel it's earned, you're going to get better reactions. So the example I use with the school is that we bring a table out in whatever match at the beginning. We bring it out early. In the audience's head, the match won't finish until the table's gone through.
Chekhov's table.
Yes.
So don't put the table through. Because they want to see it.
Yeah.
So have the match end some other way, unless it's a tables match.
Yeah.
Have the match end in some other ways, and you can give them the table afterwards. So again, another match where it was me and my brother actually. So we were both the good guys. We were a tag team at the time, and my wife was the villain owner.
Yeah.
And she made us wrestle each other close to Christmas.
Right.
As a tag team.
Yeah. Okay.
And the rule was, if we didn't fight, then there'd be punishments.
Right.
So we decided to have an arm wrestle.
Right.
That's not good enough. So we had a thumb wrestle.
Yeah.
Thumb war. That's not good enough. So she came out and said, if you don't have this match properly, then you don't get paid. Okay, cool. So we looked at each other. Okay, ring the bell, ref. Referee rings the bell. We duck out. Referee counts to 7, 8. We're both quite competitive, so we slide back in the ring.
Yeah.
Right, okay, we're going to have this match now. So we kind of built up there. And then I think the line was, if you don't have this match and use weapons, then you won't see the kids at Christmas. Okay. So now your audience are invested a little bit. What's going to happen? Who's going to take the role as the bad guy? Because I think in any good match, you can have good matches with good guy, bad guy, bad guy. But you need that change of gear. So I was the one who had to change the gear, but then at the end, still remain a tag team. And a good guy.
How do you do that?
So when we bring a table out and I'm doing the more villainous stuff, which again in real life, if I'm ever in a situation where I need to fight, I worked in nightclubs for 10 years as a doorman, and if the camera don't see it, you've got to win the fight, otherwise you're going to get hurt. So my real life is, if I have to bite you, if I have to put my thumb in your eye, I'm walking away from this situation. So I put that into my performance as well. Good guy or bad guy?
Wrestlers and nightclubs.
Wrestlers in nightclubs,
Yeah.
is that a theme, you think?
It seems to be for any wrestler, you either were a bouncer or at some point you just work as a bouncer.
There's a couple, there is a couple. There's also a lot of teachers who are wrestlers.
Really?
Okay, that's a bit more
The
surprising.
things that you want to say to the children that you can't say, now when you're a villain you can.
exactly.
Because it's a character.
There you go. Yeah, carry on.
So, we got the table out. We showed the audience the table. I've been a real bad guy. And at the end of the match, Becca comes out, starts talking. I've slid the table into the ring. We're face to face. Everyone thinks I'm going to turn on my brother. Becca comes in. Right, okay, now you've seen sense. And I think she then slapped me for not listening to her.
Yeah.
She went through the table after the match had finished.
Yeah.
So they've still got the reward of the audience of the table going through,
Yes.
but it wasn't who they expected, when they expected, or what they expected. So you're able to tell a story and build emotion by using weapons rather than just table through it.
Right.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Exactly, yeah.
It's putting some psychology into it, putting a little bit of earning the reaction rather than cheap reactions.
Yeah,
Dare
cool.
I say.
Yeah, no, I understand that, yeah. Corey?
Before we move on to presumably having a little talk about Still OK Showdown, there's a match at Still OK Showdown which I believe, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure is I guess you would call it a memorial match or something. It's the
Yes.
Jamie Skinner match.
Yes.
Could you kind of tell people what that is or who he was or that kind of situation?
Yeah. Jamie has been one of our fans since pretty much day one, I want to say. So anybody who's been to our shows or watched our footage online, chances are you've seen Jamie and all the guys he came with. So again, that closeness with the fans, you kind of get to know them. And Jamie would always come with signs. So if you look through previous shows, whether it's footage or photos, you'll see some really well-drawn signs that Jamie did. Not only did he draw the signs, he'd give them to other people. So some of the kids in the audience loved them, and he'd give them away and then draw another one for the next show. And, you know, they just got great reactions to the point where other people started bringing their signs. And he'd even dress up. So at some of the over 18 shows, they dressed up for Steamy Windows by putting on the big Tina Turner wigs.
Yeah.
And they did bald caps. They've done... they dressed up as Eliza Rue, piggybacking a vertically challenged wrestler. So all in costume, and some of the stuff they've done, the wrestlers haven't known until they've walked out.
Yeah.
So the reactions have been genuine. So yeah, he was one of the passionate fans, and just before Christmas he passed away. So we wanted to do a little something, and we spoke with his best friend, like what can we do? So we're going to try and raise a little bit of money for the British Heart Foundation.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the memorial match with two of the wrestlers that he enjoyed watching and interacting with. But also, as it kind of turns out, these two have got issues with each other as well. So it kind of works out to have them two in the match, and for the right reason as well. So we're asking people if they can bring any signs that they may have got from Jamie in the past, draw their own signs, if we can do a little competition if people have drawn their own, just something to honour his memory, because he was a big part of the audience, is a big part of the show, but anybody who participates the way he did, and the guys he comes with or came with did, then it's kind of giving that little bit of something back, you know, if you can.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's going to be, in my opinion, they're two people I love to wrestle.
Yeah.
So sorry, my watch keeps going
All
off.
right.
Fine.
They're two people I love to wrestle, and they're great talent. So
Who's in that?
it's Laurie and Flex Buffington.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So both of them incredible talents, and I think they will have the match that really does do justice for, you know, a memorial match. So
That's
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, pretty much. Is there anything else you want to say about Still OK Showdown or anything else coming up?
is there anything else on the card that you'd like to
This is your plugging time
speak
now.
on? Yeah.
you know, the matches that have been announced, the tag team match I think was announced recently. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So the Lincoln County Regulators are brilliant, both on a show perspective and a sort of behind the curtains perspective. And Ace and Hardman Dan are incredible talents as well.
Yeah.
So they come in from Hullway. So in my opinion, that could be a great match to watch. Well, it's not could be, it will be a great match to watch. Knowing the 5 of them, I don't know which 2 of the county regulators are actually wrestling on that one because there's 3 of them. That's going to be a great match to watch. The hardcore match is going to be something else. And you know, anything I think that's on, I think it should all be good matches. That's not saying it for a cheap plug. I think everyone in there has earned their position on the show. So I don't know what hasn't been announced yet, but what I've seen, it's lined up to be a pretty damn good show. And I believe there are still tickets available as well. So I know the front row sold out quite quickly. But there should be some tickets left. I don't know the exact numbers. I don't get that information.
Wonderful. I'm sure that Laurie and Flex will do a great job as well in there.
Yeah, it's definitely one I'm going to watch. No matter where they are on the card, I definitely want to watch that one.
Yeah, great. And speaking of Laurie as well, is she still your champion, I believe?
Yep,
so
she is the champion.
I'm sure she's doing a damn fine job as well. We watched a couple of her matches, and
she's
really good.
Incredible. She had been a villain for so long. But I think the audience, she hasn't changed her style.
No.
She hasn't changed her style at all. But the audience saw her talent.
Yeah, there's magic there.
And you can only dislike talent for so long. She could, I know she could draw that emotion out and make them dislike her. But the respect they have for her, I think the rumblings in the audience just kind of organically made her a fan favourite. And Flex as well, he's been with us since day one. And like I say, both of them, I could honestly say I would wrestle my last match with them and be proud of it without even knowing a story going forward. They're 2 that they should be more places. Laurie at the minute is dealing with quite a severe injury, but she still will participate because she's too damn proud if she's listening. You know, she's just had to have an injection in the spine because of a slipped disc. There's a potential surgery there, but she loves the business. She's both of them are so proud of being chosen for that match as well. That they're going to put on a performance. So
wow. Just before we wrap things up, I know you've probably got a great vast knowledge of the wrestling business itself, but what is your favourite 1 or 2 talents to watch? Could be anywhere, can be any company. What are your favourite 2 talents to watch and why?
This changes every time. It depends what I'm watching at the time. It depends on the mood.
I say 2. I was going to say 1 initially, but I thought, you know what, 2 sounds better because 1, people can't narrow it down. So many.
At the minute, I was watching a lot of early WCW stuff. And then something came up on Facebook about a match. I can't remember what match it was, but it was from an episode of Raw in like 94, I want to say. So now I'm watching Raw 94. But again, I want to say 94. I could be wrong. But it's the build-up to Brett and Owen at WrestleMania 10. And I think quite often I reference them too. I used to always believe as a young child that Brett was my favourite WWE, WWF wrestler. But the more I look at things, I think Owen was always my favourite at that stage in life, and I always do go back to watching them two, whether it's their matches together or against each other or away from each other. I think them two were just phenomenal to watch. So we'll have to say them two at the minute.
A lot of great wrestlers. Even nowadays, draw influence from the Heart still. I mean, they're absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. But thank you very much, Dutch, for joining us on the Dropkick Report.
Pleasure.
and we'll hopefully see you sometime. And of course, Fight Factory Wrestling does bring you the Steel Cage Showdown on February 4th. Is that right?
That's right.
Excellent. And that's the Dropkick. Goodbye.
Bye.